So we only have 4 days left until chapter 20 will be revealed. I waited till today to post this video just in case Behavior decided to post a second teaser and they didn't. This video is going to go over my final prediction for this chapter. How's it going, guys? My name is Schmuckles. I'd like to announce that I'm doing a watch party for the event on May 25th. The link to my Twitch is in the description below. I'd love to see you there for this giant reveal. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to join our growing community here. Apart from the watch party this Tuesday, I'll also be streaming on Wednesday and Sunday nights. Leaks by Daylight recently posted the Resident Evil chapter will have iconic characters and new ways to survive and sacrifice inspired by the franchise. On their website, they mentioned in a press release DBD game director Matthew Cote and DBD creative director Dave Richard hinted at this. While talking about the new chapter, Richard said, "The result is fantastic and will surprise new players and veterans alike. Players can expect a chapter packed with iconic content and novel ways to sacrifice or survive inspired by the renowned franchise." It's really not looking that good for the new content from Resident Evil Village. Cote also said, "We are so grateful to Capcom for everything they've done over the years to bring horror into the world of video games. And today we'll get to bring these icons into Dead by Daylight. It is an incredibly proud moment for us." Although Leaks by Daylight posted this earlier in the week, this article is from mid-April. It seems to be leaning towards an OG iconic Resident Evil killer rather than a new killer who was established in Resident Evil Village. We never mentioned this in any of our videos. Leaks by Daylight discovered an extra DLC was loaded onto Dead by Daylight. So there are 3 DLCs total. One of them is likely the Resident Evil chapter based DLC. One is probably Resident Evil cosmetics and the other one could be anything. For Silent Hill, we only saw 2 DLCs. One was the base chapter and the other was Silent Hill cosmetics. I want to be very clear here. These are all the facts. This point onward is going to be speculation. I'm not 100% certain of anything, but I wanted to bring up 2 different ways to interpret all the facts. So take all this with a grain of salt. I'm actually more on the side that the 5 from the Chapter 5 poster was a red herring. If they reveal a killer other than Nemesis or Mr. X, it feels like it would have been a wasted opportunity. I don't think they'd gamble that much with a character from Resident Evil Village because Behavior didn't even know the impact of those characters in Resident Evil at the time that they were developing this chapter. I think Nemesis is the most likely killer to come in, but for me, the 3 DLCs is something that people haven't focused on enough. My final guess for this chapter is pretty wild. 2 killers, Nemesis and Mr. X, or a bunch of legendary cosmetics. These are 2 different ways to interpret the extra DLC. Dave Richards said players can expect a chapter packed with iconic content. He could be talking about Easter eggs on the new map, legendary skins, and or 2 new killers. 1 DLC could be for cosmetics. The other 2 DLCs could each have 1 survivor and 1 killer. I'm not sure who the survivors would be. If this is the case, likely 1 DLC would be a girl and the other would be a guy. Leon and Mr. X, and Jill with Nemesis, something like that, with Chris and Claire coming in as legendaries. I'm not really sure about Ethan Winters. Possibly he could come in as a legendary. Resident Evil Resistance is Capcom's asymmetrical horror game. It was released in 2020 as part of the Resident Evil 3 bundle. It's a pretty similar concept to DBD with a different style of gameplay. In this game, it's Mastermind versus survivors. It's a 1v4 just like DBD, and both Nemesis and Mr. X are playable characters. It's possible that these models were the starting point for the Nemesis and Mr. X models if DBD brings them into the game. For the Stranger Things chapter, the devs actually talked about implementing third-party models.
When we first got the mesh, because they provided us with
they did share the mesh. That's the good thing is it's not a real monster, so it's CG in the show. So they shared the mesh, which was really cool.
We had to tweak some stuff to make it work in our engine, but the actual size we put in the game, we thought it was good, but when we unched him, he was a bit too small. Dwight was taller than him, so we had to
beef him up.
Yeah, beef him up a bit. And it was a bit more complicated than we hoped for with the rig and everything, so we had to... And it was pretty complex.
Oftentimes when we create a killer, we try to reuse at least some of the animations. In this case, it was almost impossible.
I did some research, and the game engine that Behavior use is Unreal Engine 4. This is a fairly common game engine that a lot of game devs use. The game engine that was used for Resident Evil 2 and 3 was the RE engine. This engine was created from scratch by Capcom, so I'm not sure how easy it would be to import the models of Nemesis and Mr. X into DBD's game engine, but at the very least, it could give them a starting point if they're creating characters from scratch. Again, this is just speculation because technically all of the possible Resident Evil killers are already going to be modeled, rigged, and textured, so take it with a grain of salt. assault. Something that would be really tricky about bringing in 2 killers is balancing both of the powers at the same time. Also, this idea is talking about bringing in 2 DLCs, which is 12 different perks, which is a lot. The reason I'm really struggling to fully believe this theory is because DBD has never released 2 killers in a chapter before. A lot of things about this chapter are different from the standard chapter reveals. We were told so far in advance about this chapter. There's also 3 DLCs, which I really think hints legendary cosmetics or 2 killers. The leak twitters are seeing things that they've never seen before, so I'm kind of predicting a result that we've never seen before. Since they've revealed the license to us so early, part of the reveal and the surprise could be that they're bringing 2 killers in. So my official educated guess is that Nemesis and Mr. X are coming in as 2 different killers. Alternatively, in Resident Evil Resistance, Nemesis and Mr. X are very similar in their movement, so it's possible one of them could be implemented into DBD as a legendary for the other. If they're 2 separate killers, then Nemesis will surely have a rocket launcher, and Mr. X will have a slightly different power focused on his strength, but their M1 movement would probably be similar. I wonder if one is the legendary for the other, are they going to have 2 different Moris for those killers? There's a lot of cool animations in Resistance that look like Mori animations for Nemesis and Mr. X. If there's only 1 killer, how could we explain the 3rd DLC? We could have 1 DLC for a base chapter, let's say Nemesis for example. The other DLC could be for legendary skins and cosmetics. And the 3rd DLC could be for the summer cosmetics that we saw come into the game today, or just other cosmetics in general. Earlier in this video, we talked about how Dave Richard alluded to new ways to die and escape coming in Chapter 20 that are inspired by the Resident Evil franchise. This could be talking about new killer powers like a Nemesis rocket launcher. If they were to bring in Nemesis's rocket launcher, then the legendary Mr. X skin probably wouldn't work. Maybe it's something that could be very specialized with creative killer add-ons. And this last idea is a bit of a stretch, so take it with a grain of salt, but what if they introduce zombie kills in DBD? Meaning zombies could somehow spawn on the map and deal damage to survivors. Zombie spawns could be tied to the killer's power, or they could spawn automatically. There's a lot of considerations for an idea like this, especially when thinking about the game balance. I think more likely than not, Richard was talking about specialized killer powers. Zombies would be really tough and would probably change the game too much. When speculating new ways to escape, behavior could be referring to the new survivor perks, and maybe they're closely related to Resident Evil in-game events, or possibly a new item introduced into the game that ties into Resident Evil. I'm not sure what items could be brought over from Resident Evil to DBD, but I know DBD players have wanted a new item for a long time. Yesterday, DBD posted the schedule for the May 25th stream. We can expect to see the Resident Evil chapter reveal, the 6-year roadmap, the Realm Beyond update, live design, and the 5th year celebration. They'll probably do announcements on the next maps to be graphically updated and possibly mention any upcoming killer reworks. For the celebration, there's probably going to be special items and blood point offerings related to the 5-year, as well as special generators and hooks that are on the map that, if used, can earn you extra blood points. If they bring in 2 killers, but one of them is Lady Dimitrescu or one of the witches, I'm going to be super sad because this theory would have been so close. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I'm also going to be streaming this event on Tuesday. The link is down below. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.